Hey gamers, how y'all doing? Today I'll be talking about Corsair Gaming's latest quarterly report, my reaction to its performance, as well as talking a little bit more about its earnings call, some of the important things that you should know about the company, and some of its future upcoming growth that I think you should all pay attention to. Let's start off with the financial results. I've highlighted a lot of different points for you to just take a look at, and I feel like those points are quite important to pay attention to. We're going to start off with the year-to-date highlight, and it shows that their gaming and creator parts, the revenue was about 470 million. That's an increase of about 35% year over year. Still, it's going pretty strong, even though this company is experiencing a lot of supply problems, just like many other companies. And to have it still go up 35% shows to you like the amount of actual growth this company could go through if it didn't have that problem. But that, that's something that every company is experiencing, right? But it's just to see that the true potential is there. You also take a look at its quarter highlight. Now, before releasing this, they even said it, I think a week or two ago, warning investors that they are gonna miss revenue expectations this quarter. It was about 450 million. Now it's actually 390 million. That's a decrease about 14% year over year. And you look at its gaming and streaming creating space, that revenue is about 139 million, which is a decrease about 14% year over year. And you look at majority of the revenue, which is actually in computer parts, the parts you need to upgrade your computer, that's a decrease about 15% to 250 million. Now, with that decrease in revenue, you would expect a decrease in net income. But this is a huge decrease in the net income. It's only 1.8 million this quarter. Compared to last year, it was about 36 million. That's a big loss in profitability. And we'll take a look at, what Andy Paul and the management team has to really say about that, like what could be the main reason. But what he says here is that the company is well positioned to capitalize on the underlying secular growth. So under secular growth is mainly the long-term growth, right? Long-term growth trends around gaming, esports, and streaming. The third quarter, we experienced strong pace of innovation continue with the release of our new Elgato Facecam streaming camera and Xeon gaming monitor. These both represent an entry for us into the larger and growing gaming markets. They also announced their memory, which is their DDR5 product, and they believe they're well positioned to maintain that leadership in the memory category. Despite the challenges caused by the current logistics and supply chain problems, we believe that the consumer demand for gaming and streaming products remains strong. Now, that's the overall theme you're going to hear a lot about, honestly, throughout this entire report and also the conference call. They also say that they're responding to difficult sourcing and shipping problems by building our inventory closer to our customers. But it's been difficult to pass these costs on to our customers, meaning raising the product pricing. We still expect good growth for the remainder of this year, but various challenges are constraining it to our initial expectations. That's also about the financial outlook. We believe that the actual demand environment remains good, and that once this environment is finished and behind us, we can return to our targeted growth and profitability targets. We have adjusted our 2021 guidance to fit better situation. And they expect this year the revenue is going to be about 1.825 billion to 1.925. That's about 5 to 10% decrease from the initial guidance. Now, besides looking at the report itself, you should really also pay attention to the earnings call, because the earnings call, there's just so much more information that I feel it's actually even way more important to look at the conference call or hear about it, then read the report. Because there's so many great questions that people ask that's not actually answered on the financial report. So that's something I'll be going over right now. First one, let's take a look at this analyst quoting Andy about $100 million of missed revenue this year and build up demand that's building. Andy responds by saying, we saw that growth last year, right? About 70% in the gaming hardware activity across America and across all product lines. The fact that with cards that are about $1,000 to $1,500, people are still building computers at the same rate as they were in 2019. So we do expect that there's going to continue to be a big surge to develop in the following year. That's a very positive sign to see, knowing that the only thing that's really holding back consumers from building right now is the cost of the cards. No one's gonna really spend so much money on building out the computers if they could wait, right? Unless those are super desperate buyers. But you'll see a lot of people trying to wait in order to build it next year. Another analyst asked about, you got some new product releases in categories you haven't necessarily been in before. Could you just give a little bit of idea on how these are different from other competitors? He's saying, I'm thinking about the memory, the gaming monitor that you just mentioned, as well as the Elgato face cam. Tell me a little bit about that. And Andy talks about how most of the webcams in the market are just designed for pretty casual video conferencing, like what I have right now. Not really for streaming in a way for quality wise, but it works out for video conferencing. And so with this new Elgato camera, it has a whole bunch of different settings. You can adjust the lighting balances, exposure, all that stuff. We built it all into the face cam, and it's kind of like a DSL camera, he says. It's got a very fast refresh rate to it. He also says there's quite a big market share gained from that product. And overall, they are very, very satisfied with that product. They also talked about the monitor. We just launched it and starting to sell it. Too early to say how's that going. And they talk a little bit more details about their monitor as well and their upcoming memory. The chips themselves are very, very fast and have got a huge amount of growth for overclocking. We have a massive market share now on memory, almost at 60%. We're not looking to really differentiate any more than we already do. Now, Corsair is kind of the only gaming company that's really in the creator space. You have Logitech, right, with their Blue Yeti microphones. They also have Streamlabs. So in a way, like, they are competing against Logitech in trying to gain more creators to use their products. Both are fantastic companies. I think both are gonna win over time with the creator space. And in order to have a camera that really works out well for streaming, I think this might be the only one on the market that's the top product. Everything else is not that catered towards streaming in a way. And to have that product be a very successful one in the creator space market is huge for them. Next question. Current thoughts on the progression of your core gamer. Are you still seeing an acceleration in the timeline from mobile to console to building your own game? And he responds, we've mentioned before that the gaming hardware is growing faster than software, and that's also growing faster than the number of gamers. So they're doing 3 comparisons. There's a steady acceleration of people that game moving into performance hardware and building gaming computers. So we don't see anything different. The ratio is roughly 3-to-1 in terms of growth. So yes, we're seeing a steady movement. And a survey done amongst computer gamers, the interesting thing is that almost 90% of gamers also play on console. 90% of gamers that play on console also play on mobile. It's not quite the situation. People are switching from one to another. They're just doing more things. And as far as we can see, once people can afford to build build a computer, they'll go ahead and do it. Exactly. And that's one of the optimistic factors of gaming growth, right? Throughout this next 5 to 10 years, people are willing to take that into more of a hobby in a way and expanding on that hobby to doing more things of that hobby. Not just a hobby, but also as a passion as well. Next question, are there any certain segments that where you feel like you could, increase your costs, or where you can increase your costs in a way? And Andy says, in categories where we got big, healthy competitors that are similar to us, most people are waiting on prices. So keyboards, mouse, headsets, those gaming creator equipment, those prices, we're not seeing things raised. The companies are just simply absorbing the costs. And you compared it to where we're facing, in comparison to smaller competitors, yes, we're seeing those prices go up to reflect that. So we got some protection against the costs. Now, there's a lot of companies that make keyboards, mouse, and headsets. So I think what he's talking about is like, compared to Logitech, SteelSeries, Razer, we're not going to be raising our prices over that. And they also say that in the peripheral areas in streaming market, we haven't seen people passing on a lot of cost yet. I think everyone is waiting to see how quickly the shipping costs go back down. This is the biggest problem that's affecting this company, and that's why you can't get a clear reading of how well this company could perform in the future, right? Just because of this huge problem. It affects the entire business in a way. Now, another question. On the underlying demand, can you give us a little bit more details on how you track that, which areas are strong? Why is it hard to increase prices given that demand is still strong in a way? He responded by saying that it's not necessarily hard to do price increases, but in a competitive environment, it's difficult. Like what I've been saying, there's lots of big competitors that that could afford to have it at a lower cost, right, and take away some of your business. And a lot of times where you got products that are heavily in retail, there's no point asking a retail like Best Buy to increase the product by $10 and then let's discount it again in the 6 months. Nothing significant change about that. The other products, things like cases, power supplies, chairs, and everything, yes, in general, those prices have been rising up. Next question, how do you track that and which areas were stronger and softer? As he said earlier, what I tend to focus on is performance products. Those products people are buying to improve their gaming in a way. And that's mainly your mouse, your keyboard, right? And they've seen that rose about 70% from 2019 to last year. They're currently holding the same level. So what their business is doing now is they're currently seeing the same amount of demand level as 2020, which is pretty remarkable because I think we're all a little nervous and perhaps that was a one-time surge that would make people relax when people go back to work, but that actually hasn't happened yet, right? That's one of the bearish points about gaming, right? It's like the pandemic has increased all the awareness of gaming in a way, and once everyone goes back to normal lifestyle, they're not going to be gaming as much. But no, it's not. Now, we don't know what the true demand is for gaming computers, but just think about it. If prices have been pushed up to 50 to 100% over regular pricing, you can imagine that the demand is well ahead of supply. He also says the current build rate in America and Europe is about the same levels as 2019. So we know that's somewhere in between 2019 and 2020 levels. Could be more than 20%, honestly, but I expect it more likely to be 20% if graphics card were at normal prices. Okay, and he also added on to his answer, you can see that products that we used for work from home and perhaps not gaming, like webcams, are a bit lower in demand in a way. So we're not really into that webcam market, but we just launched the camera, right? and some of the streaming products like lights and things that were bought by people last year, not just in gaming. We've seen that, lower a bit in terms of demand, but in general, all things that are related to performance gaming have remained steady. Okay, a lot of questions. The first question asked by this person is, can you talk a little bit about how the supply chain is impacting the gaming components, the gaming and creator parts differently? Is it a matter of inventory challenges in both segments, or just wondering why we're seeing the same decline in gamer and creator space if the demand is still really strong? That's a great question, right? Like what exactly is causing that, in a way, disconnect? So Andy says that firstly, those two segments are actually not that related. People don't tend to build their gaming computers and at the same time buy a new keyboard and mouse. So those things are asynchronous. I actually thought the opposite. I actually thought they're kind of really related. If you upgrade your computer, you will upgrade everything else. But it seems like it's the opposite effect at times. It's more determining more on the market in a way, the pricing as well. He also added that there's no problem with supply in, let's say, 95% of our components. We're still short on things like very high wattage power supplies, but in general, we're in pretty good shape. And it's more of an issue of graphic prices that controls that. But that has no effect on the gaming peripherals. So there are other categories that are a little lighter in demand. I know we talked about the shipping costs increases recently, but what are you seeing in terms of lead time versus normal times? Are you planning to look ahead to 2022 and plan early to increase demand? What are you thinking about inventory, and how are you stocking and organizing your company when GPU supplies normalize a bit? Management responded, we have probably about 6 weeks of inventory in containers on the water, which is a 6-week delayed timing compared to last year, because lead times in general go from 6 to 12 weeks in terms of container shipments. There was a question on new products. We have to plan a little bit further ahead for volume. And that's really kind of it. There's just so much information that you can get out of this report, and I've just really kind of in a way, said it again, right? There's a lot of questions you have to really factor in. A few statistics that I found are super helpful in me judging the gaming growth industry is really looking at Twitch and YouTube, two of the most popular content creation platform out there. Specifically taking a look at their viewership and content creator numbers. Now, look at it here, Twitch, right? Look at the Twitch growth in viewers. It's growing pretty nicely, $2.79 million, and we're not even finished the year yet. Compared to last year is about 2.12 million. So that's a huge increase. But look at 2019. That's a double up of 2019. So you will continue to see that growth, I believe, and that's one of the reasons where I see this data supporting my point. Now, you want to take a look at the content creation space, right? How much content creators are there? There's more this year compared to last year, but even more compared to 2019. A double as well. So you see viewership and channel creation, that's a double, right? Very correlated in a way. That shows to me that there's more popular interest in this type of industry. And also look at monthly broadcasters as well. This is such a helpful website. I love taking a look at it, every month. And that gets me a good idea on the content creation space in terms of numbers. Besides Twitch, you also should look at YouTube as well. YouTube, their revenue, their channels as well. Your revenue, Alphabet just reported the latest earnings, $7.2 billion, and comparing it to second quarter is about $7 billion. So overall, you take a look right here, annual revenue, 2021 is gonna beat this by another 10-20% at least. And so when you're telling me the gaming space is not going to continue to evolve, well, look again at these numbers right here, okay? Especially at revenue over YouTube, and then there's all the channel revenues and also users as well. You know, users, I expected a little bit more user growth in a way. You know, 2019 compared to 2020, I expected some bigger number. That's only about 10%. This year, I'm not sure what it will be. I'm pretty sure it'll be another modest 10% growth in a way. And yeah, I love to see if there's a website that, you know, that can give me a lot more information, like what Twitch Tracker gave me in terms of, you know, channel, concurrent channels, and all that stuff, viewership month to month. But this is just as good as well. I won't know about YouTube's annual, you know, channel growth, revenue, all that details until next year when Alpha reports their year-end result. So, but these are the two factors I really like looking at, you know, to determine how the gaming market is kind of like. And when I go back to Corsair Gaming today, you know, the company valuation didn't do much today. I'm just holding on to my position, honestly. You know, I already invested a good amount into the company. I'm comfortable with the position. I like it. I think over time it's gonna better reflect the demand it has. And I'd have to say I give this company report a B. You know, there's a lot of things that were out of their control that they couldn't really do, and they tried their best through their abilities to really handle the situation. Obviously, they should really try to improve their profit margins, because about $1 million in net income versus 30 million last year that hurts, right? That really hurts your cash flow in a way. So if they're able to really handle that problem, that would be nice as well. But you know what? Every company seems to be going up against the supply chain, right? And that's something that they can't control at the moment, limited control. Once that's gone, I think I would really see this company thrive. All right, and thank you very much for watching. Hope you learned a lot of important information from the video, whether that's the financial reports, earnings call, some of the other websites I've shown you about in a way, you know, Twitch and YouTube stats. Thank you very much for watching. Love it if you can give me a like or subscription. I put in a lot of work into the video, and that's a little, I guess, reward for me if you think I deserve it. All right, take care very much. See you next time.